Welcome back to the Spoonie and Caregiver Life podcast with me, your host, Jordan Banderas. And before we get started, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any episodes of the podcast. And let's go ahead and get into today's episode, shall we? Now, on today's episode, I want to talk about something that was very hard for me to learn. I only learned that probably in my 30s or after I met my wife. I was like 27. So if you're a little bit older than me and you still haven't been able to figure this out, don't feel bad because I don't feel bad. Now, and what I'm talking about is creating healthy boundaries. It took me a long time for me to be able to learn how to create healthy boundaries. The reason why, or the only explanation that I had, because I was thinking about before I started recording, the reason why that is, at least with me, is because of the way that I was raised, the way that my family raised me. And most likely it's also cultural, because the way that I was raised is a way that pretty much I always had to say yes, especially to my mom or to my elders. If somebody is older than you, they ask you for something or for help or anything, you're supposed to say yes, especially if it's your family. So anytime my family will ask for something, any type of help, even though I didn't want to do it, even though I didn't know how to do it, I had to say yes. It didn't matter what it was. It could be money, it could be take me to the doctor, it could be in my case, translate this or do this for me, and all these things. So because of that, I didn't have any boundaries. And because I didn't have any boundaries, once I started making friends and having relationships and everything like that, I still didn't have those boundaries. I never created those boundaries. So what happened, in my case at least, is that people will ask me to do things, and because pretty much I was already pre-wired to never say no, then even though it could have gotten me in troubles or things like that, I always ended up saying yes. For example, in school, I wanted to go to class, but my friends will be like, "Oh, let's go to a party." So I couldn't say no. So I said yes. So that's pretty much, I didn't have any boundaries. And that doesn't seem right, right? But it was. That's how I remember it. That's how I remember it, and that's what happened. Now, in other situations, what happened, like I don't think I can call this person a friend. It was more like an acquaintance. Uh, but this person will, anytime she will need me, I will do anything. Like, again, just like with my family, money, um, like rides and everything. Even though, let's say, for example, I was at work. There was one day where I was at work. I was working, and she called me. She was, like I said, she used to be an acquaintance. We don't talk anymore. So she called me. She's like, "I need a ride." I'm like, "Okay, I can give you a ride after I get off from work." And then she said, "No, I need the ride right now. I need you to get out of work and come get me." And I was like, "No, I can't." It's like, "Oh, well." And she said, "I thought you were my friend." So that made me feel bad. And because I was already pre wired to never say no, I was like, "Okay, I'll go get you." And it was like 65 miles away from where I was. So I left work. I went to get her, took her home, and then she was like, "Oh, thank you." Boom, gets out of the car and leaves me there, and I was like, "Okay, I guess I'm just going home." But it's bad because it took me away from my work. And that can be bad for you because obviously people can take advantage of that. So after I met my wife, and obviously everything happened. Our lives changed because of the diagnosis, her mental breakdown, my diagnosis. I had to go to therapy. What helped me create the healthy boundaries was actually going to therapy. I learned how to do that through my therapist, who taught me how to say no, which it's hard even to this day. Sometimes I kind of feel bad for saying no when people ask for certain things, when they want me to do things that I don't see or I don't want to do. Like um I don't want to go to my in-laws house just to waste time. Like because that's pretty much sometimes what we do, and I don't want to do that, so I can say no now. They don't like it, my wife might not like it, but I'm taking care of me. That's pretty much why it matters. Now, the reason why it's very important to create healthy boundaries is because no matter what you're going through, you could be a spoonie, you could be a caregiver, or anything that's going on in your life. If you don't have boundaries, people obviously are going to violate them. They don't know they're there, so they're just going to get in your space. They're going to pretty much ask you to do things that might prevent you from taking care of yourself. Like a spoonie. I see this with my wife, because she's barely starting to do the same thing on creating healthy boundaries. Before that, she would always have to say yes, kind of like what you explained. Like her family will say, like, "Oh, come take me here," and she will be like, "Yes," even though she was in pain, or even though she was struggling to walk, she will still go, and that will make me mad because I was like, "You need to rest." So the same thing might be happening to you as a caregiver or a spoonie, or like I said, whatever is going on in your life. So one of the things that I have seen now with myself and my wife is that once we created our boundaries, or healthy boundaries, we started to be able to have more time for each other, and also we started to have more time to take care of ourselves. Like, for in my case, to be less stressed. Like, I'm not as stressed because now I can say no. Like, if somebody calls me and say, like, "Hey, let's go here, but you drive," I can say, like, "No, I can't, because I have to do other things with my wife." Like, I have to do other things for myself as well. Like, I have to read or do things that I like to do now. So that's how it helps you. If you're a spoonie, it will help you actually just relax. It will help you not be stressed that even though you're in pain, you have to go somewhere with whoever needs you to go with them, and you don't have to worry about being in pain while walking in the mall. Because sometimes, I don't know if this happens to you guys, but I saw this with my wife, where people would just call her and say, like, "Oh, let's go to the mall," and literally they would just walk on the mall, which is fine. But the problem is that my wife is a spoonie. She has fibro. She has all this chronic pain. So walking for her is hard. And if the person doesn't really understand that you're in a position where you can't really go out and walk for hours, or stand for hours, that's where you need to create your healthy boundary and say, like, no. That's how it can help you, because you can say, "No, I need to take care of myself. I'm tired. I am exhausted. I'm in pain. So I can't go with you to the store. Or I can't go with you to the mall. I can't go with you to get your nails done, so I can just sit there in an uncomfortable chair." I'm just talking out of experience. So that's how it can help you. It helped my wife. It has helped me. And again, it was hard for me. It might be hard for you, not the same way that it was hard for me. It might be harder for you in a different way, because now that I have boundaries, I'm finally talking to my mom. Like I didn't talk to her for so long. Now we're talking, but now that she knows, because I let her know, like these are my boundaries. Now she barely talks to me, only when she wants to know how I'm doing. But before, I cut them off. I cut my family off, and before, so I could set my boundaries. She was calling me every day to complain and literally drain me for my energy. Just be like an energy vampire and drain me and do all these things and be like, oh, you need to come help me do this. So now I say no, and she barely calls me. So sometimes it might be good for you, sometimes it might be bad for you, but it all depends on how you see it. As long as you can take care of yourself by setting those healthy boundaries, and it doesn't take anything away from your peace, like you're not your peace of mind, or your health, or it doesn't stress you, then keep those healthy boundaries. Keep them up, or figure out a way, learn a way to create those healthy boundaries, because in the end, it's the best thing that you can do for you. And that's pretty much what I had for you guys today. Thank you again for listening. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your feedback. I really, really love it. And don't forget to share, like, subscribe, so we can actually keep growing and more people can actually find the podcast. And don't forget to follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And if you want to share your story anonymously, you can send it to me at the Spoonie and Caregiver at the Spoonie and Caregiver Live at gmail.com, or you can post it on the Facebook community, the Caregiver and Spoonie Live community. And I'll leave you like always. Always take care of yourself and have a great day.